Hello, you are listening to the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. Your host, Erica Sacosio, invites you to join her community of passionate and inspiring leaders in the ECE field, where she discusses, reflects, and shares the best ways to invest in our children, families, teachers, and community. Because after all, we know they are the heartbeat of any successful program.
Hi there. There's a good chance you're a childcare director who's feeling overwhelmed, overworked, and underappreciated. You're ready to throw in the towel because you feel like, I just don't get it. Well, you're not alone. So I'd love to share some strategies with you that I have learned over my 26 years of running childcare centers. You see, we're all in the same boat, all in the same economy, all working with the same types of staff and changes in the industry. And that doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means you might need to rethink the ways that you are approaching what you're doing in your center and to make sure that you are ticking all the boxes that you need to make sure that you're running your center effectively. So the 4 critical strategies I want to share with you, whether you're a seasoned professional or maybe you're just starting out, it really doesn't matter because, again, everyone is struggling. So number 1 is we're going to talk about effective communication. There is nothing you can do in your center that's going to be more important than communicating. And you have to communicate well with your staff, with your families, and your children. When communicating with staff, you have to make sure that it's clear communication, that it helps align with your goals, that it aligns with your policies and your expectations for your staff. And when you do that, that leads to smooth operations. Now, you of course have to have systems in place. You have to have systems in place to be able to do that. And it could be a staff communication logbook. It could be a staff Facebook page. It could be a staff newsletter. There are multiple ways that you communicate with your staff. It could be one-on-one. Could be in person. It could be during observations. It could be during a feedback session. The great news is there are so many ways to communicate with your staff that you have to be using at least 5 or 6 different methods because not everybody communicates in the same way. You see, for me, I love person to person. Some other folks like reading it in a memo. Others like to have a staff meeting where everybody can talk things out, especially if there's something that's challenging in multiple classrooms. Now, teachers can talk together and kind of work out some solutions. So think about how are you communicating? The other thing I find that happens very frequently is directors will say, well, I've told them all the things, they're just not listening, or they don't care. Of course they care. That's why they show up every day. If there's a breakdown in communication, it's your job as the leader to figure out where it is. And sometimes I have to say we might have to look inward because we might be the problem with the communication. Maybe you come off in a way that doesn't make you approachable and doesn't allow people to feel comfortable to give honest feedback. You see, if you're really good at leadership, you're looking for where you're failing. See, I understand that when I'm failing, that gives me an opportunity for growth. So when I'm looking through staff surveys or I'm meeting with people one-on-one, I don't always want to hear that I'm doing everything great. I want to know where I can get better. And so when you have an open mind like that, people will feel comfortable with you and at ease with you. They won't feel like they're going to the principal's office when they want to bring up a concern or a challenge or a request. Sometimes it's something as simple as, I need a new light table. But if you've been rooting around the center for the last 5 weeks talking about your budget and how you can't, make ends meet, they're not going to ask for that light table. So communicating, being transparent. So maybe that's true. Maybe your budget isn't in a place where you can buy that, 8 new light tables. But be transparent with your staff and say, okay, here's what we can do. We have in the budget, we can buy 2. We can rotate them through classrooms until we can buy 2 more. And then we can buy 2 more in May. So being transparent. And that all comes with communication. And then, of course, expectations, what you expect of people. And here's the thing I really want to say. If you have multiple leaders in your building, which many centers do, maybe you have an owner, a director, an assistant director, make sure you all speak in the same language. Make sure you all have the same expectations. If you have expectations to wear a uniform at one location, and then the next location, you don't have that expectation, there is going to be a breakdown in what is expected. And that isn't on the staff. And that's just, again, one example, but there's lots of examples. Leading with a smooth operation is your overall goal. So all the steps that you can take to make that happen, you want to do that. And there's something to be said for transparency with parents and communicating regularly with parents. Now, I'm an on-site owner and many people will say that's the wrong way to run your business. For me, I don't believe that. I believe it's the right way to run your business because my parents know me and they communicate with me regularly, and not just on an app and through a newsletter, but face to face in the morning, opening the door, greeting the families at night, at drop off, at pickup, during community events. I have a team that can certainly run my open house, but if it's my center and I'm the brand, then I should be there. And so those are things that I feel make a really great leader. And how are you going to communicate if you only use one method? You need multiple methods. And this goes for your parents as well. And anytime I send out anything on the app, I make sure that the parents know it's coming from me, that it's not coming from my director or assistant director. And there are particular times, especially with major changes in your program, that the message needs to come from you. And it can't just always be when it's like negative, like when it's time to terminate a family or you want to, talk about a rate increase. It should be frequent, regular, and transparent. And that goes for your parents as well. Now let's get to the kids. Right now, kids are struggling, and I know you know that. And that's probably a lot of the challenges that you're faced with right now because your teachers are bringing kids to your office on a regular basis, and they're at their wits' end, and you might be too, because you as a leader may not always have all the answers, but it is your job to find out what you can do to solve the problem. So it's okay to say, I don't know how we're going to fix this, but let's see what the resources are. Because being vulnerable and being human also is great signs of leadership. But not just to say, I don't know, you're on your own. Say, I don't know, but we're going to find out. We're going to do it together. I'm going to get back to you on Tuesday and then follow up on Tuesday, right? So again, being fair and transparent. But going back to the kids, age-appropriate communication really promotes a sense of safety and security. And that's what kids are looking for right now. Kids have this uncertainty. I mean, many of the children we have in our preschool programs are pandemic children. And it's going to take at least 4 or 5 years for us to get that to a place where we can make back all that time that children lost for socialization, that children lost for regulation, that sense of trauma that children had, the sense that staff have had. I mean, the last 4 years in education have been tough, and it doesn't really matter what age group you're working with. Education right now is tough, right? We have children who are 4 years old throwing chairs, not listening to teachers, not listening to parents, right? So they have to have some sense of security and safety and understanding, and of course, engagement. Engagement is so important for your kids. And the more they're engaged in the program, the less behavior challenges you're going to have. And again, I bring that up because I know for many of you, that's an area you're struggling with. Here are some tips on how to better communicate. 1, active listening and having empathy. Number 2, setting up regular team meetings. And number 3, again, using multiple modes of communication and multiple platforms. Can be email. Most of you have a messaging app. Use a messaging app. I know millennials, if you have millennials, they love texting more than anything else. Face-to-face communication really works well for most people. I think the reason I really love face-to-face communication is because I can see your body language. I can see your facial expressions. I can hear your tone. And so when you communicate, it isn't just the words. There's so many other aspects that go with communicating. And so when you only communicate in the written word, I feel like that's where a lot of miscommunication happens or assumptions happen. So it's so important to have that one-on-one time with your team. It's so important to be able for them to hear you and see you. So those are my tips around communication. Number 2, leadership strategies. Skills for inspiring your team, leading by example. You set the standard for behavior, work ethic, and attitude. And boy, let me tell you, I've met some directors who have they have some attitudes. And maybe you know them too. And maybe you're one of them, right? We all have good days and bad days, but when you walk in that door, you're the one who sets the tone. And so get through your classrooms, say hello to everyone. Let them know too. It's okay to have boundaries. Actually, you should have boundaries as a good leader. But letting them know those expectations. You have to demonstrate patience. You want your staff to have patience with the children, but you don't have patience with the staff. You have to be professional. You expect your staff to be professional, but you're running around the center telling everybody's business or not wearing a uniform or not following the policies, right? If they can't be on their phone on the floor, you can't be on your phone on the floor. Right? That's where this disconnect comes. You have to lead by example. You have to take accountability. If something is broken down in your center, it's on you. It's not the staff's responsibility to fix all the issues in your program. It's your responsibility and the owner's responsibility. They're there to help support. You are a team, for sure. You're a team, and it is their job to help you, but at the same time, it is not their responsibility. Their classroom is their responsibility. Working with the children are their responsibility. Getting the materials is not their responsibility. Now, this is where communication comes in. Do you need to know what they need? Absolutely. Do you need to know in a timely manner? Absolutely. Do they know the method to request materials? That's a question. So again, all of these pieces tie together. Communicating always is part of every strategy. You want to make sure that you're demonstrating, as I said, patience, professionalism, and positivity. How can you expect people to be positive if you're not? Again, positivity. Am I positive that the job's hard? You bet you. Am I positive you can do it? You bet you. So it's really just a matter of your mindset, right? You know challenges are going to happen. When you build out your day, we're going to talk about organization, but when you build out your day, you know that you will be interrupted several times during the day. Build it in so that it isn't something that's stressing you out or making you negative or, stomping around. I can't get anything done, right? You know what your day looks like in your center. Plan accordingly. Know what times you can be in the office and what times you need to be on the floor. Because again, being professional, being patient, taking accountability, own your decisions. When you make a decision, then own it. And your actions show when you're taking responsibility. I can tell you, like I said earlier, I always am looking for the negative feedback because I am accountable for that. And so I want to know where I'm lacking and then what I can do about it. So these are ways that I feel like have made me a pretty good leader. Now, that's not just my opinion. I can tell you my retention with my staff for the last 20 something years is typically 12 years. I have staff that work with me 20 years. I have staff that have left to do other types of jobs or even worked at other centers and have come back. I probably would say of the staff that leave, more than 75% come back at some point. There's a reason for that. So you don't know what you don't know until you try something different. And a good leader, just like a good teacher, is hard to find. So be that good leader. Be that person that people just want to come back to. I can give you another example, which I talk about on my podcast. So I had a couple of teachers that left this year after being with me for 20 years. They went to work in the public school system. And one of them, in just a short time, said to me, "Hey, Erica, I have an idea. Can I work for you part-time? I'm going to work at the school during the day, but I just love it here so much. I really have felt like a part of your family for 20 years, and I don't really want to lose that." So we made this accommodation where she works for me part-time. During the summer, she'll work with me in the summer, and she helps float. It works for me, it works for her. But it was that relationship that we build through the leadership that we have at our program, and being an exceptional leader, and being understanding and patient and empathetic, and growing my team, and all of those pieces have come together, which has been very fruitful. So if you want teachers who stay with you, and you want teachers who, if they leave, still want to be part of your community, that's amazing. So that's what I'm trying to help you build here today. And it comes from these 4 strategies. It really helps build trust. We create supportive environments through being relatable, being reliable, being transparent, and being approachable. As I said, if you're not approachable, you're going to have a hard time keeping your staff. And you're going to have a hard time being a great leader, because you're going to just keep doing things that might be wrong over and over again because nobody's told you. And then the other thing that I always find is interesting, when I talk to directors, sometimes they'll say, "Well, nobody told me they had a problem with that." Right. If somebody tells you for 20 years that everything you've done in 20 years is perfect, they're lying to you. Right? Nobody is that great. I mean, the best of the best continue to work on themselves. And one of the other things that I feel like is so important when you're growing your team is boosting confidence by showing belief in your staff's abilities. Literally every person in our program that has moved into a director position or assistant director position or lead teacher position has been promoted from within our center. And I felt like that was really important for us. I think that there was just something about the buy-in, and something about I don't know, there's just something about watching your team grow and expand, and it makes me excited. I feel like it's the same when teachers look at their students and they see how much they progressed over a year or 2 years or even 5 years. And that's how I feel about my team. And I hope that that will be something that you take away from this video, is really making sure that you are growing your team. Encourage growth. Support continuous learning and professional development. You could do that by promoting a positive culture, fostering respect, collaborative environment that prioritizes well-being. And while we're talking about well-being, teachers are stressed out right now, and administrators are stressed out right now. So if you're all stressed out, who's feeding your soul? Who is helping you find that joy? And so just like negativity and overwhelm and burnout is contagious, so is positivity. So is being optimistic. So you have to pick which one you want to be. And I know I want to work on a team where we can say, "Hey, all right, this is a challenge, but we can solve this together." Because that's the team I want to work on, right? All teams have challenges, but it's up to you to figure out how are you going to support your team. And then in turn, how do you share the load so they can also help you be successful? Because you can't do it alone, and they can't do it alone. So that's really what makes an exceptional leader. You have to inspire your team, embody those qualities. Those will help you create a thriving child care center and environment. It will help you build trust. It'll foster respect with your team, and it will motivate and inspire your team to perform their best. I'd love to share a little story with you. We had started, well, the state had started a quality rating system many years ago. And our team was one of the first teams to earn 5 stars at our after school program. And we did this by breaking down the small steps. And it was a pretty large project, and there was some timelines because we knew that we wanted to get it done by a certain date. And so we broke it down into smaller steps. And some magic happened during that. So it motivated the team. They could all see the vision that we really wanted to be considered one of the best after school programs in the state, which we did. And ironically, we're in the midst of renewing our license and Bright Stars rating for a different location. And we're putting in our application for 5 stars. But there's some magic that happens when you do that. And once you work together, especially on something like a quality rating system, you'll start to put these little pieces together that will start to improve your practice. And it will start getting everybody to think about professionalism. It'll start getting everybody on the shared vision. People will start collaborating with each other in different classrooms. People will start to plug in because they need something to get behind. And that's where I feel like a lot of programs lack. You want the teacher to come in, go to their room, not bother you, and stay in there all day, except for lunchtime and pee breaks, right? Just go in your room, do your job. Which, yeah, there's some truth to that. We need our teachers to do their jobs, but we also need to do our jobs, and that is to help support them. So I hope that, several of these tips are things that you can implement today that can help you be an inspiring leader. Some ways that we need to recognize our staff, and I'll give you just a couple examples. You can do a teacher of the month. You can do a spotlight on a teacher in a newsletter. And I like the newsletter because not only does it share the information with the other employees, but it shares it with the families, and the families say, congratulations on your spotlight. What a great job. I knew you were a great teacher all along. All those types of things. You can give them special parking spots, additional paid time off, which I feel like thinking of teachers' mental health is really important. So that's one I think I really like a lot. Sending a teacher to, maybe the teacher of the month gets a gift certificate to a local spa. Or find out what they like. Maybe you buy them a membership to a gym. Maybe you get them a gift card to Trader Joe's or the local smoothie spot, right? Things that connect for them that help them find joy. Maybe they have a hobby. Maybe they like to paint and you buy them a gift card to a local paint and vino place, right? There's so many things that you can do, but recognize your staff. When you share these big goals, like getting, accredited or going through a quality rating system, or even if it's individual goals, like your teacher just earned a CDA. Yes, that CDA helps promote professionalism. It helps with your shared vision, and it also helps that person go to the next level of teaching. And so that's something you definitely want to celebrate. And honestly, if you have a quality rating system in your state, it helps your center too. It helps promote you to the next level of what high quality looks like and having high quality teachers employed in your program. If you liked today's video, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell so that way you do not miss any tips. So we're going to go to strategy number 3, time management and organization. Challenges of managing a childcare center effectively often are balancing those administrative duties with on-the-ground responsibilities. And so that's why I say, if you have a system, and I have a system, and everybody's system can look different. I have a system that there are specific times of the day where I know it's appropriate to work at the desk, and there's certain times of day where it's not. When parents are coming in, they're dropping off children, or they're picking up, that's the time for you to be on the floor. Absolutely the time to be on the floor. Because that's going to give you that time to be face-to-face with your customers, with your parents, with your families. It also allows you to get tuned in to any information you might need to know about that child's day. Maybe they woke up and they had, I don't know, a nightmare the night before, or they didn't sleep well, or Auntie Mary is coming to pick up at noon. Things that you need to know. So be on the floor. And then again, if there's any type of challenge at drop off for your teachers, it's really important that you are there to support them. I would say lunchtime, unless you're the lunch coverer, which sometimes does happen for some directors. But if you're not and you have a float that covers the lunches, lunchtime when after the kids have eaten and they're all napping, those 2.5 hours are such a great time to get some things done. You know what I love to do during those times? One-on-ones. It's a great time to meet with your staff because they're not tending to children. Somebody's in their rooms covering. You've allowed them to take their break. After their break, you have them come see you. So I love to take those opportunities to connect with people when the school is a little calmer. I also think coming in early before drop-offs is another great time, or staying, and I'm not recommending you stay every night, but maybe one night a week, you take 2 or 3 hours when everybody is left to work on some things that you can't necessarily do during the day. Now, I'm not saying you should overwork yourself. What I'm saying is build that in. So maybe one day a week you leave early and then one day a week you stay later and you work, the set amount of hours, but it really does help with getting things done. So those are strategies that I find have worked for me. You have to manage the diverse needs of your children, your staff, and your parents, which is sometimes hard. So you have to think about what it is they need from you and how you can deliver it without burning yourself out. And then there's that compliance piece. That's one of the things I really like to do really early in the morning or at the end of the day, walking around with my safety checklist, making sure everything is in compliance, making sure if there are any maintenance things or anything that needs to happen, a maintenance tag goes to the maintenance guy right away. If it's something I can fix while I'm there, I fix it. But again, those are things you can't do when the children are there. So early in the morning or at the end of the night. But again, I'm an on-site owner, so that might not be something that you have to deal with. Maybe that's something you have a maintenance team that takes care 100% of everything in your school, which is great, but you still need to walk the floor to make sure that you are in compliance, that all the signs that need to be up are up. And when you do that, when you're a proactive instead of reactive, life will be a lot easier. And I feel like a lot of times people are reactive, like your state worker pulled into the parking lot. Now you're running around, making sure all your ducks in a row. Make your ducks in a row before a worker ever shows up at your program. So that when they do, you're confident, you're calm, and you're in charge of what you need to be in charge of. Now, handling staff turnover, I know this is a big challenge for many of you. Your number one thing I'm going to say again, be proactive. Try to reduce staff turnover. How do you do that? First of all, make the right hiring decisions. There's that. Maybe you involve your team in the interviewing process. That will help too, because many times you hire somebody, you put them in a room, and then those two people have to work together. And so you want to make sure they have good energy and they work well together. And you also want to make sure they're not like copies and twins of each other, because you want to have different folks with different strengths and weaknesses in the same room so that way they can support each other. So that is definitely one of the tips that I would say, especially if you're a new director, you might not have figured that out yet. So you want to make sure that you do that. And when staff stay, it really does help build the foundation that you need. It also helps with morale. When staff start to leave, morale diminishes. And sometimes people need to leave, and you might need to ask them to leave. And sometimes that's difficult too. So that's why going with being transparent with your team. And lots of times your teams will know who's pulling their weight and who isn't. But it's really important that you are ready for that. Dealing with unexpected issues or emergencies is part of the job. So although the emergencies can be unexpected, the way that we handle those should not be. That should be part of your policies, part of your trainings. So I know this is a lot of information for you to get, but these are really important things that will help you be successful. And prioritize your tasks. Make a to-do list that isn't a mile long. Maybe there's categories of 5 things I have to get done today, 5 things that would be nice if I got done, and 5 things that if they don't get done have zero impact on my center or bottom line. And honestly, if there are things there, those might be things you can delegate to your staff that shouldn't be on your list at all. So if you have those things, sweep them off your list, give them to the other folks. They will love to take them on. To be quite honest, I have teachers who are like, please give me something to do outside of the classroom. So they appreciate the learning curve. They appreciate being able to try new things that are low risk. As if they mess them up, it's not that big of a deal, but it gives them an opportunity to try new things. And number 4, staff development and retention. Investing in your team's growth is vital. If you have great teachers and you don't invest in them, they are not staying. So you could have a lot of great teachers in your school, and if they're leaving for better opportunities, that's because you're not creating better opportunities at your center. Sorry, I said it, right? And better opportunities, I want to tell you right now, are not always tied to money. They could be, but they're not always tied to money. I have seen people make lateral moves. I have seen people leave and go to other centers where they make less money. Again, I talk to directors all over the country. So if people are doing that, it's because they're feeling stagnant. And so you have to make sure you're investing in your team. They need to see where they fit in your business in 5 years, in 3 years, in 2 months, right? There's some uncertainty with state funded pre-K coming in. Teachers are deciding, am I going to have a job next year? Especially if you're a pre-K teacher, am I going to have a job next year? Should I be looking to move into a state funded pre-K and leave the private sector? Like, these are a lot of things that are running through teachers' minds, and they need to know that you have a plan. The state opens up several pre-K classrooms that are no cost to families, what your business strategy is to ensure that they have a job long term. And if you don't have a plan, you need to make a plan. And if you have a plan, you need to share it with your team. And then you need to let them know where they fit in that plan. You have to provide ongoing training and professional development. And if you are like most states like mine, you have to get that professional development approved for it to count. So that would be a great opportunity for your education coordinators or lead teachers who have degrees that meet the credentials to become PD specialists. Like, how cool is that? Going from an assistant teacher to a lead teacher to now the center's PD specialist. Again, opportunities for growth. Instead of having to pay multiple trainers to come into your center, you can save a little money, give that person a raise, and allow them to train your staff. Now, you do want to mix it up a little bit, and I'm lucky I have multiple locations, so you can have multiple trainers so that the trainings are fresh and people have different ways that they present. And I'm not saying to never bring in outside trainers, but mix it up a little bit. But have an on-site person where if a challenging comes up, like others who bite, right? Because we have centers and there'll be periods of time where you'll have a classroom that has a couple biters and then you can go a year with no biters, right? So if you have an on-site trainer, and it could be you, if you have an on-site trainer, you can ask them to put together a training pretty quickly to meet the needs of your staff in lifetime. Right? So if you know that is a challenge, or you have pre-K teachers who are like, we have way too many kids who are not potty trained coming into the 3-year-old class. Create a training for your older toddler class to help those teachers, help the children, help the parents, get those children to where they need to be developmentally. So there's lots of different ways you can do that. And again, it's not all for you to do. Because as I said at the beginning of the video, if you're overwhelmed, if you're feeling underappreciated, right? These are some ways you can do it. Communicating with your staff, they're not just going to tell you the bad things. They're going to tell you what you're doing right too. So focus on that. Continue to build on those areas that you're really good at. When you find where you're really not good at, is there someone on your team who can help you with that? Maybe it's your education coordinator. Maybe it's your assistant director. Maybe it's your center owner. And if you're a center owner, maybe it's a colleague in the field. Maybe it's a membership group. There's lots of different ways for you to get your cup refilled. But you have to be willing to do that. You have to be open to connecting with people. And so those are 4 examples and 4 strategies that I feel can really help you. I'm going to end with this. If you feel like you are ready to try some new things and you're ready to learn and implement, right? It's great to watch a video, but if you don't implement anything today, you have just wasted 35 minutes of your time. If you're ready to connect with real folks in the industry, like me, like you, then I'd love to personally invite you to the 2025 Early Childhood Empowerment Conference here in my little state of Rhode Island. It is on May 2nd and 3rd. I will leave a link below. You should really come out and connect with other childcare directors just like you, just like me. We all have the same challenges. And I'm not going to pretend I know all the answers to everything because I don't. I'm still learning every day. But I'm actively involved and engaged in what I'm doing. And I'm open to other people's feedback. And I'm open to learning from others and collaborating and sharing ideas. Because let's face it, the industry has changed. And the way that you run a center 10 years ago is not how you're running a center now. And thank you again for stopping by our channel. I really appreciate it. Again, it's the small details that make a big impact on the success of your childcare business. That's it for today. Bye.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Childcare Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Childcare Director's Chair.